Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I'll be your senior technical consultant today, and we are going to walk through one of the absolute most critical security paradigm shifts of our time, architecting your zero-trust digital transformation. The landscape has fundamentally changed, and honestly, our architectures absolutely must evolve right along with it.
So let me ask you a slightly uncomfortable question. Is your digital castle already breached? It's a pretty provocative thought, right? But we really have to start here to immediately introduce the assume breach mentality. You see, for decades, we operated under this illusion that our legacy security architectures, our firewalls, our perimeters, were impenetrable. But the reality today is that you simply must design your environment with the proactive assumption that a breach has already happened.
We are talking about a massive fundamental shift. The classic approach was all about securing assets within an on-premises castle, relying on a really strong perimeter. But the zero-trust model, that is about protecting all your assets wherever they are located. It's a highly resilient, identity-centric approach. Why? Because the moment we assume the castle walls can be bypassed, we have to start thinking about the blast radius, the total damage an attacker can do if they actually get in, and how we can minimize it by protecting the individual assets themselves, no matter where they sit.
Think about it like this. If you put all your data, your servers, and your devices inside a cage and lock a single front gate, you might feel pretty safe. But depending purely on that secure perimeter is a failing strategy against modern ransomware and remote desktop protocol attacks. Once an attacker slips past that outer gate, they basically have free rein to move laterally and compromise literally everything inside. Okay, here is our systematic architect's blueprint for today. We'll quickly cover the 3 pillars of zero trust, the solution assessments framework, automating the discovery process, the remediation roadmap, and finally, delivering strategic business value.
Let's jump right into part 1, the 3 pillars of zero trust.
As architects, we need to ground ourselves in the core definitions. Zero trust is a security model that operates on one fundamental assumption. No request, whether it's internal or external, should ever be trusted by default. It really doesn't matter if the request comes from a company laptop inside your corporate headquarters or a mobile phone at a random coffee shop. Trust nothing, verify everything. So how do we actually pull this off? Well, it boils down to these 3 foundational pillars. First up, verify explicitly. You've got to authenticate based on all available data points, user identity, physical location, and even device health. Second, use least privileged access. Limit user access to only what is strictly necessary using just-in-time and just-enough access policies. This is exactly what minimizes that blast radius we talked about earlier. And third, assume breach. We use microsegmentation by network, user, and device and ensure all sessions are encrypted end-to-end. These 3 pillars are what secure your assets regardless of physical location.
Moving on to part 2, the solution assessments framework.
Putting on my consultant hat for a second, let's talk about how we gather the empirical data to actually execute this digital transformation. The Microsoft Solution Assessments portfolio isn't just some basic discovery exercise. It is the critical foundational phase for your transformation. We're talking about a free, partner-engaged consulting service designed specifically to bring clarity to your current environment and deliver a highly tailored migration and security roadmap.
We evaluate your estate across 3 primary pillars. First is infrastructure modernization, utilizing tools like the Rapid Migration Assessment to evaluate your server workloads for Azure Readiness. Second, application modernization, which provides specific treatment strategies and wave planning for legacy code. And third, the one we're really focusing on today, security governance, utilizing the Cloud Security Assessment and Zero Trust Foundations to evaluate your infrastructure against modern threats.
Solution assessments move the conversation from what if to how to. I absolutely love that quote, because when you're trying to shift an entire organization's security posture, hypothetical risks just aren't enough. These assessments provide the hard, empirical evidence you actually need to secure executive buy-in for your transformation.
All right, part 3, automating the discovery process.
Let's get a little technical and put on our cloud solution architect hats. Getting this empirical data is incredibly streamlined. We automate the evaluation of your Microsoft 365 tenant using a free PowerShell module. Step 1, you just install the Zero Trust Assessment module. Step 2, you connect using global admin credentials for the initial run. That grants the read-only permissions. Step 3, you execute invoke/ZT assessment. The tool does all the heavy lifting, checking your configurations against zero trust principles without changing a single setting in your environment. And finally, step 4, it generates a comprehensive HTML report right there on your local machine.
Which brings us to part 4,
the remediation roadmap.
Once we generate that HTML output, the report literally marks every single test as a pass or a fail across your identity and device domains. Take this real-world finding, for example. End-of-life operating systems hiding out in the environment. You know, like that forgotten Windows server sitting in a broom closet somewhere. This immediately highlights the true risks of unpatched systems and software incompatibility. It's no longer a guess, right? It's a documented vulnerability tied directly to zero-trust control failures that attackers could literally exploit tomorrow.
So how do we translate those failures into action? We systematically map out technical remediation specs needed to harden the 4 primary zones of your digital estate. For identities, the mandate is enforcing multi-factor authentication and conditional access. For endpoints, we implement Microsoft Intune to apply security baselines. For applications, we're migrating legacy systems like IIS to Azure App Service. And for data, we enable data loss prevention, or DLP, and sensitivity labels to protect your most critical information.
Now don't panic, you don't have to fix the whole shebang overnight. We build this into a totally manageable timeline, prioritizing high-impact quick wins. In the first 0 to 30 days, we focus on core consolidation, identity hardening, specifically getting MFA enforced for administrative roles, and deploying Defender for endpoint. Then, in that 30 to 90-day window, we shift into advanced governance, standardizing applications and completely phasing out those unsupported operating systems we found earlier.
And finally, Part 5, delivering strategic business value.
Let's zoom back out from the technical weeds to the executive level and connect this whole transformation directly to business outcomes. Shifting from a reactive castle model to a proactive zero-trust model delivers massive strategic value. First up, security resilience. You are directly preventing the lateral movement of ransomware, which protects your organization's reputation and its finances. Second, cost savings. By consolidating disparate third-party security vendors into a unified Microsoft 365 E5 stack, you save money while actually gaining better visibility. And third, compliance alignment. The assessment provides a crystal-clear documented roadmap for meeting rigorous global standards like CS, ISO, and SOC.
And there is one more massive strategic benefit that is top of mind for literally everyone right now: unlocking Microsoft 365 Copilot Readiness. Meeting these zero-trust prerequisites, getting your E3 or E5 licensing aligned, securing your endpoints, and establishing rigorous data governance is the critical gateway. You simply cannot safely deploy advanced AI across your enterprise until you know exactly who has access to what data. Zero trust is essentially what makes AI safe to use.
So what's the game plan? How do we turn this blueprint into reality? Well, here is the immediate action plan for your organization to begin your very own data-driven solution assessment. Step 1, self-nominate via the Microsoft Solution Assessment Portal. Step 2, designate an internal technical resource to participate in the planning. Step 3, complete the tool prerequisites so we can actually run that PowerShell module. And Step 4, engage your budget holder to review the final presentation. It's a structured, proven path forward.
I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Are your current defenses truly ready for the AI era? Or are you still standing at the gate, guarding an empty castle while the real threats are already inside? The tools to find out are free. And, as you've seen, the roadmap is clear. It's definitely time to architect your zero-trust transformation. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.